Why is the environment so important? So I'll just tell you right now, 95% of your day, you're not even in control of. It is subconscious.
Welcome to My Daily Mindset, where you get an inspirational, educational, and motivational message each day to help you live your best life.
This week, we have been talking about how to live an amazing life. And for me, there are three pillars that if you can control in your life, your everyday life, you're golden. And then there's the foundation, which you need before you can even start on the three pillars. So Monday, I talked about the foundation, which is sleep. And then Tuesday, I talked about the first pillar, which was food. And then yesterday, I briefly talked about the second pillar, which is exercise, which brings us to the third pillar. Now, this one, the first two, food and exercise, you have control over. You know what you're going to eat. You know if you're going to exercise. But the third one's tricky. And this is the one that I believe gets most of us in most situations. And it is environment. So when I'm talking about environment, what is environment? Obviously, your physical, your house, your office, your room, your car, etc. Whatever is physically around you. Okay. And then also people. People are environment, right? Your friends, your family, the people you hang around with most. And then also, what do you put in? What are you watching? What are you listening to? That is also your environment. So those are the three big components into the environment. And this dictates sort of who you are, really. You know the saying, you're a product of your environment. You become the five people you hang around with most. It's true, period. There's not a discussion. It's not like, oh, maybe. It's truth. So think about your environment. What are you around, whether it's at home, office, your friends? What do you watch? What do you listen to? All of this impacts you much more than you know, which brings me to this. Why is the environment so important? So I'll just tell you right now, 95% of your day, you're not even in control of. It is subconscious. 5% of what you do, those are the decisions you make during the day. And those are the things that you actually even see. So optically, when you say you're looking in a room, right? Or at whatever, you're actually consciously only seeing 5% of that picture. The other 95% is subconscious. It's being taken in. You're just not consciously aware of it. So if you ever, if you're talking to somebody sometime and you get a weird feeling and consciously you're like, this person seems normal, but you get a weird feeling, that's because your subconscious is picking up on that. The other 95%, it may see things that you don't even think about, little twitches or this or that, just shady stuff, right? I mean, it is. So that's why I always say, listen to your intuition, listen to your gut, because it's 95% correct. So that's why the environment is so important, is because most of the time you're not even in control of it. So let's just think about this. Physically, right? If you talk about the physical environment, if your room is messy, your office is messy, your desk is messy, your car is messy, whatever, your physical environment is messy, your mind is messy. It's cluttered. It's not going to think as straight. It's not going to be as clean. And the opposite is true. If it is organized and it is clean, you are sharp. Okay? That's simple. People. I mean, this is a no-brainer. If you're around negative people, it's going to bring you down. If you're around positive people, it's going to bring you up. I mean, that's a no-brainer. And then what are you watching? You get out what you put in, right? So what are you putting in? What are you watching? What are you listening to? If you're watching trash TV or, whatever, and news. Okay. News is a big one for me. I do not watch the news. I mean, I'll stay current on some things, but I am not sitting there and watching news, because that is all they're doing is pumping fear, and, it's just negativity, and I'm not putting that into my body. So be aware of what you're watching, right? And also listening, listen to some positive podcasts. Hey, how about this one? But you know what I'm saying? Like, what you get out, what you put in. And again, you may not even realize how much this is affecting you. And a lot of times at the end of the day, you'll be like, man, why was my day so, such a bummer, right? I'm in a bad mood. And if you start thinking about it, most of the time you can correlate it to environment, whether it was something that you were listening to, somebody you were around. That's, a big brainer. So that brings me to, how do you how do you, clean your environment up and make sure that it's an efficient, productive environment? The first thing is you have to pay attention. Like, first of all, where are you? What currently is your environment like? Physically, what are you watching? Who are you hanging out with, right? You got to take stock. That's the first thing. And then you have to clean up your environment. Obviously, cleaning your physical, that's an easy one, right? You clean your room, clean your office, clean your car, whatever. That's a no-brainer. People's a tough one, right? Because there are a lot of people like, oh, I have a high school friend they hang around, but they're negative, but they're my high school friend. That's fine, right? But sometimes you have to cut ties. Some people outgrow other people. I'm not saying, forget about that person, don't ever talk to them, but I'm saying start to limit your time. And then also, if you do have to be around negative people, understand going into the situation that they're negative and it's not going to affect you, right? So you have to be hyper aware of this. And then finally, what are you watching? What are you listening to? Change it, right? Start, if you're watching, again, figure out what you're actually taking in and then change that to some things that are positive. I'm telling you, this environment pillar is in my opinion, it is the one that gets us all, and it's so important. And when you start to really, change it for the good, your life will change. And sometimes it's subtle and sometimes it's dramatic. It depends on how quickly and how, fast you do get to make these changes. So anyway, so that's it. Environment is pillar number 3, and it's a big one. So take stock today and start thinking about, what does my environment look like physically? What am I watching? What am I listening to? Who am I hanging around with, right? That's the first step. And then start cleaning it up. How are you going to clean it up, right? And this isn't going to be an overnight thing, but again, like with everything, write it down, create a plan, and then take action. All right, guys. I hope that helped. And then also tomorrow, I'll be summarizing the entire week, all right? From foundation to food, to exercise, to environment. And I'll, hopefully help and get you on your way to being the best you. All right, guys, have an amazing one. And remember, this is your life. Live it your way. I appreciate you listening today, and hopefully you found something useful in today's message. And if you did find value, please comment. Also share it with somebody else that may benefit from this. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so that you can get an inspirational, educational, and motivational message from me every single day.